Well, again, thank you for your time.
I'm glad to be here with you today, Don.
You know, I've been alive in this world 54 years, and you've been in this 50 years.
Yes.
I was a kid.
51 years now.
51?
It's been another year. So you were 3 years old when I started to work with the sheriff's office.
Man, oh man, oh man. So when you were a kid, you said you wanted to be a sheriff? Or
from the time I was 4 or 5 years old, as long as I can remember, I wanted to be the sheriff of the county. So this is nothing new for me to be here my entire life. It was always my dream. And I found out if you dream big and you work hard, you can turn a dream into a vision and a vision into reality. So I'm blessed. It's a God thing, and I've had a lot of people in the community support me. They supported me when I first started to work for the sheriff's office and all through my career, and certainly they've supported me ever since I've been sheriff, for which I'm really, really grateful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always had a dream of being the first to graduate, be the first in my family to graduate from college.
Right.
And eventually I did it.
And you did it.
It took a long time, but you get there.
Absolutely. I was the first in my family to obtain a bachelor's degree and then a master's degree in my family as well. My dad didn't have formal education past high school, but he was very supportive of me, and it was a big deal in our family.
Absolutely.
My dad used to cut up with me. Of course, he was always funny. And I asked him, I said, are you going to come to my college graduation? He said, I absolutely am going to come to your college graduation. He said, I thought you'd never get out of high school, and I wouldn't believe you had a college degree if I didn't see it with my own two eyes. Wow. So we got a big laugh out of that back in the day, but it's an honor to be able to go to college and to graduate. And I did that with my undergraduate and graduate degrees.
You know, when I was going back to school, because I went back to Polk State for a while, I met you once there before, and you were giving a talk at the Polk Theater, and I said, there's the sheriff. I'm gonna go get. So I got a picture with you back then too. Yes. As well. So it's the second or third time we met downtown as well.
Sure.
So when you were a kid and your dad, what did your dad, do you mind if I ask what your dad did?
No, I don't mind at all. Dad was ultimately the service manager for Tomlinson Cadillac and then Tenney Cadillac when it was on East Main Street there at Ingram Avenue. And he started at the Tomlinson dealership delivering cars. Back in the day, the very wealthy people drove Cadillacs. We didn't have the other big cars. And if it needed servicing, he would ride the motorcycle out to their house and then attach the motorcycle to the bumper of the car, drive back to the Cadillac place where they would service the car. So all day long, he would drive back and forth on the motorcycle, the three-wheel motorcycle as it was.
Oh, okay.
To deliver cars and pick up Cadillacs. And then he went from that entry-level position to running the place before he retired 46 years later.
Wow. That's interesting. And then nothing in law enforcement in your family?
No, not at all. I had an uncle back in the early 50s, was the sheriff in White County, Tennessee. At that time, they ran every 2 years. So he had 1 2-year term as sheriff in White County, Tennessee, back when I was, my goodness, 18 months old. In fact, that was my first time spending the night in jail. That's right. We went up there to visit with my uncle, and we stayed in the jail. At that time, the house of the sheriff was either below or above the jail. And his wife was the matron and the cook and all that sort of thing. Oh, so there were beds in the jail because no one else was there. So we spent the night in jail at 18 months old. That was pretty funny.
That is cute.
And then when we opened our new South County jail, we did a fundraiser for charity. So before we put anyone into the new South County jail, when I was a colonel, all of the command staff spent the night in jail there. So we raised money for charity that way.
Oh, wow.
So I've spent at least 2 nights in jail that I know of.
I've only seen the inside of a jail once.
Right.
Unfortunately, it was for a bad thing. I was in the Army, and I was on the 21-gun salute team when a soldier had died.
Oh, my goodness.
And we were burying him in Zanesville, Ohio during the first Gulf War.
Right.
And I was on the gun team, and we put our guns in the jail the night before so it would protect guns, and we stayed in a hotel room, So that's the only time I've seen the inside of a jail.
Well, if you got to see one, that's not a bad way to see it.
No. So we know that you're 51 years now. I know you're into photography.
Yes.
You going to do some more of that when you retire? Or are you going to retire?
Well, I don't plan to retire. I just opened my campaign account this last week to run for my next term of office. And I'm really, really excited about that. So I will do my very best to be your sheriff for another term. You can only win one term at a time.
Well,
It's funny how that works. So I'm excited. And people go, are you going to retire? Are you going to retire? I hear that every time I run for office. And I am retired. I retired after 32 years. I retired as a colonel. I ran as sheriff. This is my retirement job. So I am doing what I love to do every day. So when people say, well, what are you going to do when you retire? I go, be sheriff. Because truly, I wake up most mornings, to include today, before the alarm goes off, to come to work. I love it that much. But I do photography as a hobby. I love landscape and nature photography. I enjoy being in the woods and on the water, and that's very relaxing to me. So that is my hobby and my primary hobby. I do a little deer hunting during deer season, but primarily my hobby is photography and being the sheriff.
Yeah, Kate Hall, she mentioned for me to say hi to you.
Mhm.
She's one of those mural artists, and she's
Yes.
into photography as well.
Yes, she does a beautiful job.
Wonderful. And my eyes here. In your career, what's probably the stupidest criminal, if you don't mind me asking? What comes to mind? I know that I listened to you on Max 98.3 on the
Sure.
Eric and Mike, but is there one over the total?
Well, there's so many of them that are so funny, but one of them that I thought was really, really funny, one of my undercover detectives was getting gas at a gas pump one day. And a guy walked up to him and says, hey, man, you smoke marijuana? So my detective said, yeah, I smoke marijuana. He said, well, I got some marijuana for sale. Would you like some marijuana? And my detective said, sure, but let me go in and I've got to buy some stuff in the store and I get it on my way back. Can you wait a minute? He goes, yes. So my detective goes into the store where his partner was and said, hey, I got a guy in the parking lot wanting to sell me marijuana. So he went in and bought a soda and a bag of chips and came out with his partner. And of course, they did the drug transaction and they arrested the guy. So that's like, how crazy can you get that you go up to a complete stranger at a convenience store, ask them if they smoke marijuana, and then offer to sell our undercover detectives marijuana? Only a crazy criminal does that. But there's crazy criminal stories every day. That's just one of my favorite.
Well, I appreciate you telling me that story. My son and my daughter, my son just graduated high school a couple years ago. My daughter just now graduated high school. They went to McKeel. Do you have any advice for the young kids that are some of their friends are on the wrong path, and I'm trying to mentor, if you can? What advice from someone who has been around and know that stay out of trouble? You're going down the wrong road.
Sure. The reality, when they get to be that age, they pay more attention to their friends who are as immature as they are, rather than their parents or the people who love them and care the most for them. But I tell folks, tomorrow is a new day. Yesterday is history. But how you act today and tomorrow is going to affect you for the rest of your life. And what we see is kids grow up in a house and their parents have really elevated their status to maybe middle class, upper middle class, upper class. Well, kids think when they step out of their parents' house, out from under that umbrella or that roof, that they should start life that took their parents their entire life to get to. That's not the way it works. So you have to have a dream. You have to translate that to a vision, and then you have to work very, very hard. We see an inordinate amount of young men and women who don't want to work hard. Well, if you don't want to work hard to obtain your dream, then you're not going to obtain your dream. And it's a competitive world out there. So those other young men and women will have your job because you won't work. Or they'll have your job because you want to lay up, use street drugs, or drink and party. So at the end of the day, you've got to work hard. You've got to behave. You've got to leave the illegal drugs alone for a variety of reasons. Not only is it against the law, but it's very hazardous to your health. And now that there's fentanyl out here, you may think you're trying marijuana, but they've laced it with fentanyl. You may think you're experimenting with cocaine, but they've laced it with fentanyl. So why cocaine and methamphetamine and opioids will kill you over a period of time, a fentanyl overdose will kill you DRT, dead right now, or dead right there. So at the end of the day, what I tell folks is you got to leave the drugs alone. When your buddies start down the wrong path, you need to go find a new path. You need to vision your dreams. Then you need to work hard, and you can be successful. I can show you a lot of examples, me included. When I started, when I was a kid out of high school, I was making $1.65 an hour. $1.65 an hour. And I can show you a lot of people that didn't have a pot to go in or a window to throw it out of that are very, very comfortable, and some that are very, very wealthy today, because America, the United States of America, is the greatest country on the face of the earth, with opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. But you've got to take advantage of the opportunity. You've got to work. And if you work hard in this wonderful country, you cannot fail. But it's up to you. If you sit around and wait for somebody to give it to you, it'll never happen.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those words of courage. Out of curiosity, do they like spray stuff on this stuff, these kids? Do they put this fentanyl, just like spray it on? Is it something stupid?
Yes, they can sprinkle it on. It can be a powder form. We also see, like with meth, liquid meth, they can spray that onto marijuana or onto paper. We had to go to a paperless system in the jail because people were spraying meth or drugs onto paper, letting it dry, and then mailing it to the inmates who were then eating it in the jail. So at the end of the day, there's many different ways to overdose or to utilize drugs, whether you take it orally or you snort it or you inject it. It's for sure, if you abuse drugs, it's going to ruin your life. Eventually, it'll kill you. Fentanyl can kill you right now. But when you're on drugs, nobody's going to hire you. They're not going to let you operate their heavy machinery or drive their trucks or work in their stores and interact with folks that's their customers. So at the end of the day, you got to straighten up and tighten up and work hard, and you can be successful. You can go from that minimum wage employee to a multimillionaire by the time you get ready to retire. But it's hard work, saving your money, investing it appropriately. But if you think it's Party City, you're going to end up at the bottom.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that very much. I remember when I was in high school, the minimum wage was $3.35 an hour.
Sure.
And they had what was called an OWA program where you could sweep the floors. And I joined this, it was $1.68. It was half of $3.35. So I started working for $1.68, 1982, 83, something like that.
Sure. But the reality is, this life is full of opportunities. This country is the best in the world. I tell folks, turn off that national news. That national television is very depressing. It's not what's happening in America. It's the exception of what's happening in America. Television, news reporters take the most crazy story, the most out of control story, and that's the story of the day. Things that will gain your attention, things that will shock your conscience. And they will lead you to believe that the country operates like that, that that's the norm. That's not the norm. That's the exception to the norm. The vast majority of everyone in this country is center right and center left. They're hardworking, God-fearing people doing a great job making this whole country very, very successful. You can't pay attention to a handful of naysayers that want to tear you down and tear the country down and tear the community down. That's not what's happening out there. The people that are trying to tear you down are losers, and they want to tear you down to their level. Don't ever accept that. Excel. Be the leader. Be the one who is always successful, and you can do it with hard work.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate your time very much.
It's my honor to be your sheriff and to be the sheriff of the county, and I look forward to the next term of office. I'm not being presumptive, but I can tell you that I'm blessed and I'm going to work hard. So thank you very much.
No, thank you.
See
it's
you
not
later.
every day I get to meet a living legend. Thank
That's
you
very
so
kind
very
of you
much.
to say that.
God bless.
See you soon.
Thank you.